wrestling business. Several years ago, I had a chance to have a brief conversation over the phone with Mick Foley. And one thing that I got from the brief conversation that I had with him that might have lasted only 5 to 10 minutes was that he was one of the most honorable and respectable individuals in the professional wrestling business. And long after hanging up the phone to this day, I still wonder why Mick Foley has not been inducted or even considered as a Hall of Fame inductee. Maybe because Mick Foley felt that he had a few years left in his professional wrestling career. But one thing that you are bound to see from Mick Foley's induction speech that will happen the night prior to WM29 is that he is one of the most respectable and honorable individuals in the professional wrestling business, and he will thank everyone that he's had the opportunity to create with, similar to how Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin did in years like 2007 and 2011 with their Hall of Fame induction speech. You'll also get a point in there about his family, where his family has supported his decisions, and they definitely will take a look at the Don Morocco Superfly Jimmy Snuka cage match that Mick Foley hitchhiked to New York to see. He also had the chance to perform in that very same arena that he hitchhiked to see that legendary encounter between two of the most unforgettable superstars in WWE's over 60-year history. It's been incredible watching the careers of all of these legends who have been previously inducted into the Hall of Fame, and it's just been incredible and a privilege of mine having the opportunity to see all these legends who are going to be inducted into the 2013 Hall of Fame this year. Now, when I first found out about Mick Foley's induction into the 2013 Hall of Fame, one thing that I hoped we would get from Mick Foley's induction is not so much emphasis on the bumps and the crashes. I want to see more of the high points of Mick Foley's career taken a look at, more so than the bumps and the crashes, because that to me will really be an insult out of Mick Foley's career, because he's contributed so much, not just to the WWE. You really have to backtrack and go through all the years of Mick Foley's career to really get a better perspective as to what Mick Foley has contributed throughout his entire 25 to almost 30-year career in the professional wrestling business. Not only has he made an outstanding number of contributions to the WWE and the Make-A-Wish Foundation and the WrestleMania Rating Challenge, all their phenomenal campaigns, including the Be a Star campaign, which was one of the most highlighted campaigns that Mick Foley ever contributed to, but he's also contributed to companies outside of the WWE, WCW, ECW, just to name a few, and even TNA Wrestling, where he won the TNA Heavyweight Championship from Sting in a legendary lockdown steel cage match in 2009. The shame of Mick Foley's Hall of Fame induction is that they will not take a look at years of the TNA part of Mick Foley's career where he won the TNA Championship. I wish they took a look at every aspect of Mick Foley's career, not just his WWE contributions. You know, they will take a look at the contributions of the companies that Mick Foley has been involved in that WWE have purchased over the years, like WCW and ECW. That's the good thing, but we will not get a look at the contributions he made outside of the WWE in companies that the WWE have had nothing to do with, like TNA Wrestling or some of his contributions on the independent circuit. They may be referenced without getting their names put in the speech, but Mick Foley definitely has made a lot of contributions that if I were to go down through a list of, we would be here for hours, so I'm not going to do that. The purpose of me making this video archive is just to basically offer my congratulations to Mick Foley for all of his contributions in the professional wrestling business, because I've had a chance to speak to Mick Foley, and because I am left at a loss for words of Mick Foley's induction into the WWE Hall of Fame. One thing that I didn't like when they made the announcement on a recent edition of Monday Night Raw that Mick Foley would be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, we found that out as part of the 20th anniversary of Raw, is the direction that they seem to be taking Mick Foley's induction into the Hall of Fame in, similar to how Ric Flair showed up on Raw for the first time in a while just recently and was almost attacked by the Shield before being saved by Ryback and an additional few superstars like Daniel Bryan and Kane. One thing that I didn't like was how the Shield immediately came out and tried to interrupt Mick Foley when he was about to address the WWE fans. I really hope that in the weeks leading up to Mick Foley's Hall of Fame induction, they take a look at more of the high points of Mick Foley's career. They keep him out of the ring and keep putting him in these threatening positions. I really don't want to see that for a legend like Mick Foley, who has made so many contributions. That to me will turn me off altogether from Mick Foley's Hall of Fame induction. I didn't like the highlight packages of some of the recap shows that WWE had distributed this week, where they took a look at the Shield interrupting Mick Foley. More so, they should have taken a look at the tribute package they had put together of Mick Foley, highlighting some of the high points of his careers along with some of the crashes and bumps that Mick Foley has taken in his career. I think that referring to the low points of Mick Foley's career as crashes and bumps are probably the most appropriate ways that I can do it, and that's why I consistently refer to them as that. I don't really like, when they take a legend and they disrespect him by having some new talent initiative superstar come out and interrupt him like a Dolph Ziggler or an Alberto Del Rio. I think that should be kept separate from what legends have contributed in the professional wrestling business. If you are under Legends contract, this is the problem that I have. You don't need to be coming involved with new talent initiative superstars because you have a desire to benefit them, which a lot of legends have had over the years. I think that if you're under Legends contract, you should do what a legend is required to do, no matter if it's doing commentary, being a special referee, or just coming out and cutting a promo for old time's sake to remind fans that you're still kicking around and you have a desire to come back to your profession that brought you to the dance and achieve your legacy in life. I understand that, but I think that a legend should be kept separate from the duties of a new talent initiative superstar. I think the purpose of a new talent initiative superstar is to achieve a legacy of a Mick Foley or a Rock or an Austin, a Hall of Famer that you one day hope to achieve accolades similar to. You might not achieve all the accolades of that legend, but you have an inspiration, and in no way, shape, or form should you come out and interrupt and disrespect that inspiration that you had to get into professional wrestling. I know that some of the new talent initiative superstars kill for an opportunity to work with legends, and some of these superstars of the new talent initiative like John Cena and Randy Orton have had the distinction of being able to perform in an actual legitimate match, even at WrestleMania in John Cena's case, with the inspirations they've had in the professional wrestling business, and that is a great honor to be bestowed with. But these new talent initiative superstars who will never have the opportunity to perform with Mick Foley like a John Cena or Randy Orton like Dolph Ziggler have no right to come out and interrupt these legends when they are at the high point, achieving the highest honor of their career years after their contributions to the professional wrestling business. So I wish that WWE in years to come would keep legends and new talent initiative superstars separate and not have the two worlds collide. I know I'm using a tagline from a Raw and SmackDown video game, but I really think that the two worlds don't need to collide. They need to be kept separate, and if Mick Foley is going into the Hall of Fame where he's deserving of being, he doesn't need new talent initiative superstars to fuck up the highest accolade of his career that he's achieving in 2013. Amongst the in-ring contributions that Mick Foley has made, especially in the WWE, he's had many contributions. He's been a fantastic commentator and one of the best commentators you could have put behind a microphone for either Raw or SmackDown. I loved how Mick Foley could tell you a story in relation to what was happening inside of the ring. The commentating ability of Mick Foley is something that is often overshadowed by many other contributions that Mick Foley has made throughout his professional wrestling career, but he was honestly one of my all-time favorite commentators. He was up there with the Gorilla Monsoons, who used to use phrases like "this is a miscarriage of justice." He was up there with the Jerry Lawlers of the world. He was up there with the Bobby Eatons of the world. A commentator who could make you feel as if you were a part of the match in something majestic in professional wrestling. And I hope that they take a look at not only just his in-ring contributions, which about 85% of Mick Foley's highlights will be. I hope they take a look at his contributions outside of the ring as a commentator or a special guest oftentimes in the WWE, WCW, ECW, and on the independents. And it would really be cool. I know it's highly unlikely that it will happen, but it would be really cool if they included some of Mick Foley's outside of the WWE contributions to companies like TNA Wrestling and the independent circuit. I know it's very highly unlikely, and the bulk of Mick Foley's highlights will consist of highlights from the WWE and companies that WWE had purchased ever since 2001, like World Championship Wrestling and ECW, especially when WCW were acquiring some of the stars from the 80s that made WWE a worldwide phenomenon. I think that it's incredible that they're going to do that, but I just wish contributions that are outside of the WWE that Mick Foley has made to professional wrestling would be included. Mick Foley has achieved so many honors in his career. This has got to be the highest honor that he's ever achieved, being inducted into a Hall of Fame that has showcased less than 100 superstars, from Shawn Michaels to Andre the Giant, and I think that this is a position in Mick Foley's life that he's very deserving of achieving. And I think that if Mick Foley was never considered as an induction into the Hall of Fame, it would be an insult to the legacies of not only Mick Foley, but other deserving wrestling nominees into the Hall of Fame that should be in the Hall of Fame. It's beyond me why Mick Foley wasn't inducted sooner than this. I think that Mick Foley is very deserving of being on the same pedestal as a Bret Hart and as Shawn Michaels. Sure, he might not have made as many contributions to professional wrestling as a Bret Hart or a Shawn Michaels or even a Mark Calloway, but the contributions that he made alongside these superstars in some of the matches that he had with some of these superstars like The Undertaker, that infamous Hell in a Cell match, the Buried Alive match from October of 1996, Mankind making his WWE debut the night after WrestleMania 12 in 1996, attacking The Undertaker, culminating that infamous rivalry. The magic that Mick Foley had the opportunity to create with The Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin in the late 90s, The Rock, and their infamous rivalry over the WWE Championship that saw Mankind accumulate his first WWE Championship reign that lasted less than a month. I think anywhere between 26 and 28 days is how long it lasted. These contributions that he made alongside all these superstars need to be taken into consideration, and he should be inducted alongside the superstars that he assisted in making these contributions with, because not only did he achieve success in his own career, but he helped superstars like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels make these their careers even further and even better than they originally were. If you remember back to the first night of D-Generation X's formation, it was a match that Mick Foley had with Shawn Michaels that made D-Generation X start off in such a positive way. If you remember back to 1999, it was that feud with The Rock that made The Rock one of the greatest superstars of all time, and it's an infamous rivalry The Rock often reflects and looks back on. You look at all the matches that Mankind had with The Undertaker,